Today, Jamaica joins the rest of the world in observation of International Anti-Corruption Day. And even as the various government agencies lead the charge in combating corruption, you too can play your part. Don't accept or give bribes, pay your taxes, report crimes, and most of all, inform yourself of the laws of the land. Hello and welcome to another edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm Adrian Atkinson, your host. We have several features that are sure to keep you in the know, so please stay with us. The magazine unfolds right after this short break.
Oh, the sights and sounds of Christmas Jamaican style. Help us tell your stories through pictures. Or how about songs or poems bigging up Jamaica? We'd love to showcase them on the pages of Jamaica Magazine. Email us at jamaicamagazine@jis.gov.jm and be sure to include your contact info. Let's end the year with a bang. At Christmas time in Jamaica is the most wonderful time of the year.
Good day, I'm Carrie-Ann Smith and this is your JIS News for Monday, December 9. Government has identified 4 strategic priorities for the management of the country's affairs in the 2014-2015 financial year. From April 2014 to March 2015, the administration will be focused on the maintenance of fiscal stability, the preservation of national security and justice, infrastructural and human resource development, and social protection programs. These were agreed on during a special 2-day cabinet meeting chaired by Prime Minister Portia Simpson-Miller last week. Cabinet also agreed to the overall budgetary limits within the context of the country's economic reform program and committed to presenting the 2014-2015 budget before the end of March 2014. Going forward, the administration is aiming to present the national budget and have it approved before the start of the financial year. In the meantime, there is to be more detailed consideration soon on the implementation of the policies and programs for the current financial year. After concluding the special cabinet meeting Friday, Prime Minister Portia Simpson-Miller left the island to attend the memorial service of South Africa's former president, the late Nelson Mandela. Mrs. Simpson-Miller left the island Saturday and will return on Thursday. She was accompanied by Ambassador Carlton Masters, Special Representative to the African Union, as well as her support and security staff. The memorial service for Nelson Mandela will be held at the F&B Stadium in Johannesburg on December 10. Upon her return to the island, the Prime Minister will participate in a joint session of Parliament to pay tribute to the iconic leader. In her absence, Finance Minister Dr. Peter Phillips will be in charge of the government. Parliamentary activities are to become more accessible to the disabled community. House Speaker Michael Peart says a sign language interpretation program for the hearing impaired will be piloted in January 2014. He made the announcement on December 3, which was celebrated as International Day for Persons with Disabilities.
This will allow the hearing impaired to observe meetings from the gallery or through televised broadcasts, to have better access to the parliamentary proceedings.
Mr. Peart says the program will be expanded by mid-2014 to include meetings of the House of Representatives.
This, we feel, remove one barrier preventing persons with disabilities from participating fully and effectively as equal members of society.
The Lionel Town Hospital has received an industrial nebulizer to assist in the treatment of asthma patients. Donated by the Maypen Returning Residents Association, this critical care equipment will be able to treat 4 persons at the same time. The Lionel Town Hospital currently sees close to 3,000 patients for nebulization per year, and the chairman, Carlton Nicholas, says this donation will enhance its ability to meet the community's needs.
We are indeed grateful for this act of benevolence, which is going a far way in improving the healthcare delivery at Lionel Town Hospital.
Jamaica has joined other small island developing states in calling for increased information on climate services to assist in understanding and meeting their energy and water needs in the face of rising global temperatures.
Climate services information will enable our coastal communities that are increasingly vulnerable to storm surge and the anticipated sea level rise to meet the challenge and appropriately site critical infrastructure such as hospitals, schools, power plants, airports, and roads.
The Climate Change Minister was speaking at the 3rd International Conference on Climate Services, which was held from December 4 to 6 at the Montego Bay Conference Center. And finally, details are being ironed out for the implementation of a family court school to begin in January 2014. This is to further assist the court in achieving compliance and restore values and order to the family structure.
What we're trying to do here is to empower our parents to understand developmental phases of their child. How do they communicate with their children? How do they talk with their children about sex and sexuality? How do they recognize signs of sexual abuse in their children? How do they distinguish between discipline, punishment, and abuse?
Judge Blake Powell made the announcement at a recent Parents Month exposition hosted by the Kingston and St. Andrew Family Court. She said the program would benefit parents and guardians who have been ordered by the courts to get parenting skill counseling or training. And that's it for GIS News today. I'm Carrie-Ann Smith. Thanks for watching.
There'll be a better tomorrow. 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 There'll be a day. There'll be a way. There'll come a time to sing a brand new song. There'll be a better tomorrow.
Remembering a courageous and enlightened leader, protecting the children, and the start of a $500 million infrastructure development program. Some of the news coming out of Jamaica House this past week. Details next.
It is with tremendous sadness that I convey the heartfelt sympathy of the government and people of Jamaica on the loss of the father of the South African nation, Nelson Madiba Mandela.
That unfortunate task and other important activities engaged the Office of the Prime Minister in the week just ended. This is Jamaica House Weekly. I'm Andrea Chisholm. On the afternoon of Thursday, December 5, South Africa's sitting President Jacob Zuma announced that his country's first black president, Nelson Mandela, had died. Upon hearing the news, Prime Minister Portia Simpson-Miller halted a special cabinet meeting she was chairing to observe a minute of silence in remembrance of his life. She later released a statement highlighting the special place Mr. Mandela held in the hearts of Jamaicans more than a decade after his last visit to the island.
We grieve together with the people of South Africa and the family of the late president, the loss of this giant of our times, this man for all times.
Mr. Simpson-Miller said the late Mandela had transcended politics and society to represent the noblest qualities of love and mercy, wisdom and understanding. On Friday, the entire cabinet signed a condolence book for Mr. Mandela at the South African High Commission in Kingston. And on Saturday, Mrs. Simpson-Miller left the island for South Africa to attend this Tuesday's memorial service in memory of Mandela to be held at the FNB Stadium in Johannesburg. The Prime Minister returns to the island Thursday, where she will lead a joint session of Parliament to pay tribute to Mandela's legacy. The Office of the Prime Minister was engaged by other matters this week, most notably a special cabinet meeting to review the country's medium-term economic program and the macroeconomic projections for the 2014-2015 financial year. During the two-day session, Prime Minister Simpson-Miller said government had successfully made many of the difficult decisions necessary to put the country on a stable economic path. She said Jamaica had been meeting the macroeconomic targets, including passing the first 2 IMF reviews. At the same time, the administration remained faithful to its debt reduction strategy and priority on job creation and economic growth. The Prime Minister further advised that government had also been faithful to its obligations to workers and the commitment to expand spending on social protection. The special meeting was an early start to the 2014-2015 budget preparation exercise.
A total of $500 million has been committed to carry out a set of infrastructure and works program that will be undertaken island-wide and which will include $200 million for road patching and repairs. This work will commence immediately, and it is projected to be spent in tranches up to the end of the financial year in 2014.
Prime Minister Portia Simpson-Miller made that announcement Wednesday at the official opening of the new Kintyre Bridge. It was built at a cost of $100 million on the Phase 2 of Jeep. She said the $500 million infrastructure project would include mitigation work and bushing, drain cleaning, river training, and the replacement of manholes and guardrails. While addressing the Kintyre Bridge opening, the Prime Minister also renewed her call for adults to take care of the nation's children and to protect them from abuse. She has asked that legislation be looked at for further protection of our children.
Do not leave your children in the care of careless persons and persons that you know are not of sound character.
It was also announced last week that Cabinet had approved a 5-year recapitalization project for the Jamaica Defence Force JDF, which will see the military replacing obsolete vehicles with newer ones. Prime Minister Simpson-Miller has oversight responsibility for the JDF as part of her defence portfolio. The 14 V-150 armoured cars that are now used by the JDF were purchased in 1976 and 1985 and have been used in many security and rescue operations. Cabinet's approval means the Army will get 12 Tails Australia Bushmaster armoured personal carriers to replace the V-150s. Prime Minister Portia Simpson-Miller was also on hand this week to officially open a new business process outsourcing BPO investment in the country. Sutherland Global Services Jamaica was opened on the campus of the University of the West Indies. It's a direct fruit of the 2012 Jamaica Investment Forum and is in keeping with government's quest for sustained wealth creation through the acceleration of human capital development. Already, the company has hired approximately 700 UWI students and 50 Jamaican team leaders to carry out its Jamaican operations. There are also plans to expand operations to Mandeville. Prime Minister Simpson-Miller said the investment was a win-win situation for the parties involved. And that's it for this week's edition of Jamaica House Weekly. We return next week with more of the happenings coming out of the office of the Prime Minister.
Welcome to the FSC Minute. I am Nadine Newsom. Today we explore anti-money laundering and its implications for the FSC regulated sectors. And joining me is Laurice Edwards-Brown, Director of Investigations and Enforcement at the FSC. Welcome to the FSC Minute, Laurice.
Thank you, Nadine.
What is money laundering?
The goal of most criminal activity is to generate a profit. So in order to enjoy these ill-gotten gains, criminals often seek to disguise the source of these funds. So the process by which the criminals seek to put these ill-gotten gains into legitimate source of business or into investments is what is called money laundering.
And what role does the FSC play as it relates to anti-money laundering laws?
The FSC is mandated by Section 62F of the Financial Services Commission Act to put into place measures to reduce the possibility of its regulated sectors, that is the pension sector, the insurance industry, or the securities industry, from being involved in any activity or in any offense relating to money laundering. The FSC seeks to implement such measures to reduce or to mitigate the risk concerning money laundering or financing of terrorism. And when these risks are identified, these measures will seek to alleviate the risks.
Does the FSC provide specific instructions to institutions regarding the procedures to put in place for anti-money laundering compliance?
No, the FSC does not. The FSC is a gatekeeper for the industry, and what we seek to do is to get the industry to work to find out what is it that they need to do to implement measures that can safeguard their own entities from being used into using schemes for money laundering activities.
Thank you, Larice. My guest today was Larice Edwards-Brown, Director of Investigations and Enforcement at the FSC. For the FSC Minute, I am Nadine Newsom.
Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller has travelled on assignments overseas this year, all in a bid to shore up financial support for a number of local projects geared at creating jobs and growing the economy. Watch now as we show you the link between those assignments and the country's prospects.
The growth of our economy is directly related to developing positive relationships with nearly 3 million members of our diaspora, as well as bilateral and multilateral partners.
And that's why Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller has been making regular trips overseas in a bid to secure key investments that will fuel economic growth and increase the prospects for job creation.
Come, my brother, let's walk together. Take my hand, brother and sister. Look around you, what do you see? Rainbow people of the Trinity. Come, my...
The government of Jamaica has been steadfast in its push for meaningful economic growth and sustainable development, with keen attention being paid not only to local opportunities, but also those that can be pursued internationally. The more than 3 million Jamaicans in the diaspora were engaged at the 2013 staging of the biennial Jamaica Diaspora Conference.
We are resolutely committed to implementing the policies and programs necessary to facilitate increasing levels of inclusiveness and involvement to make Jamaica diaspora investments, business, and humanitarian activities seamless and successful.
The diaspora community has expressed interest in a number of investment opportunities in the areas of sport, tourism, healthcare, technology, and education. The Global Logistics Hub and Caymanas Economic Zone are also generating strong investment interest. Boosting job prospects and economic growth is also a major plank of Jamaica's deepening cooperation and collaboration within the region. That's being witnessed through ventures such as Fly Jamaica Airway, a multi-million-dollar regional investment that provides several jobs for Jamaicans. In July, Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller travelled to Trinidad for the 34th meeting of CARICOM heads of government to identify and cement other prime employment opportunities.
CARICOM is more than an organization or mechanism. It represents the vision and aspiration of our forefathers for a strong integrated region which would provide the best prospects for economic and social development.
In addition to celebrating 40 years of regional integration, Mrs. Simpson Miller held bilateral talks with several heads of state on advancing the island's growth agenda and reigniting transportation in the region.
We continue to give priority attention to our economic diplomacy in order to increase trade and investments. This government has always, Mr. Speaker, pursued a non-aligned, progressive and enlightening foreign policy. We consider ourselves good neighbors to all.
During this fiscal year, the Office of the Prime Minister has been leading governments charged to secure well-needed partnerships to fund many of the island's development plans. That effort was a priority at this year's staging of the annual Diplomatic Week celebrations.
We will continue to engage with all countries to explore opportunities for foreign direct investment, tourism growth, expanded trade and technical cultural cooperation.
Fostering deeper relations with countries on the African continent is another way the government is seeking to spur economic growth and job creation.
Our shared African history and legacy must now be channeled into tangible projects that will harness the energies of our peoples to build our societies and economies. Pan-Africanism must also be effected through educational and cultural exchanges, greater economic and investment activity, direct air and sea transportation linkages, and greater person-to-person contact.
Prime Minister Portia Simpson-Miller attended the 50th anniversary celebration of the African Union in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia in May, holding bilateral talks with several African countries. Strategic cooperation talks in the areas of airlift, trade and investment were held with the presidents of Ghana, Nigeria, South Africa and Tanzania. And now, Jamaica and Tanzania are exploring mutual aid in education and sport.
That's why I'm here, to see how we can get more investors in Jamaica, investing in our country, so that we can create the jobs. It's not just about investment, it's also about going for growth with job creation.
Prime Minister Portia Simpson-Miller's 5-day official visit to the People's Republic of China augurs well for increased job creation and economic growth on the island. Jamaica signed 4 multi-million-dollar agreements with the Chinese government, and 2 Chinese businesses announced plans to make the island the hub for their operations in the region. Chinese investors have also shown much interest in Jamaica's plans for a global logistics hub, the 300,000 square feet of space for ICT activities, the 8,000 acres of agri-parks, and the possibility of an airlift agreement between the two countries. Jamaica also secured funding for local development projects in domestic water supply, construction, and housing.
Come, my brother, let's walk together.
The government of Jamaica has been using economic diplomacy to bring in well-needed investments and create jobs while doing so, all in a bid to improve the country's economic standing.
Take my hand, brother and sister, look around you, what do you see? Rainbow people of the Trinity. Come, my brother, let's walk together. Take my hand, brother and sister, look around you, what do you see? Rainbow people of the Trinity. Come, my brother.
Nutritious food, succulent dishes, superior workmanship, and excellent service. Jamaica is on the go. Let's grow what we eat and eat what we grow. Let's harness the indomitable spirit of our most valued resource, our people. Let's support our local businesses. After all, buying Jamaican means building Jamaica.
Coming up next, the information you need to train up a well-rounded child.
Every child can learn. Every child must learn. The Ministry of Education is indeed correct. But there is so much more that goes into learning and the development of children than just opening the covers of a book.
Safe family life. Develop some structure.
The home is where a child begins to develop character. It simply means that parents need to pay attention to the development of healthy habits while at home with their children.
We want to ensure that parents have a very good relationship with their children. They communicate clearly in a very respectful manner. We would hope that our parents would develop some structure for the home so that the children understand their roles and responsibility as children, and also understand the roles and responsibility of the parents.
One common way of doing this is by giving children simple household chores to complete.
Doing chores help them to learn how to take care of self and their environment. Live and work and play with others. Life skills.
Children enjoy being engaged in fun activities, and many of these also have other benefits.
It gives them the opportunity to learn how to live and work and play with others. Team building, personality development, relationship building skills, right? They also learn other life skills such as decision-making skills, problem-solving skills.
Parents too can find ways to be involved along with their children, but there is one thing to keep in mind.
If you stifle them, you will cause them not to grow. If you're always with them, always doing things for them, always finding the information for them, they are not going to be wanting to go and seek out information for themselves. And you need your children to grow and learn and develop into wholesome being. Education goes beyond the academics.
All children have inquiring minds and wide imaginations, and there are definitely ways to expand their capacity to learn. Parents should pay special attention to facilitating learning in the activities they engage in with their children.
When we say education, it goes beyond the academics. There's so much more to learn in life. We watch certain television shows together. We read together. We go on nature walk, even around your own household. We want to send them out on trips that are educational, or you take them to places that are educational.
Other fun educational activities may include playing games such as chess, learning a foreign language through audio CDs, or even gardening with the young ones.
Mistakes do happen. Love your children unconditionally.
Children should be taught to do their best, but to also understand that sometimes things may not work out just as they would like. Parents, however, should never let them feel that they have fallen short.
Mistakes do happen, and the important thing is that we learn from these mistakes. Love your children unconditionally, and if there is a mistake, we should stand by them and see them through it. Work hard, also have leisure time.
The general goal of parenting is to nurture successful individuals, but a little too much of one thing may not always be good for the little ones.
It's very important that we help our children to balance. We want our children to work hard, but we want them to also have leisure time when they can have fun and just rejuvenate and relax and be themselves and shout and get rid of all that pent-up emotions and feelings.
Nurturing children is a tremendous responsibility, but there are ways to ensure each child has the opportunity to develop in all areas.
My stable family life, that very good relationship between parent and child ensures that the children get a very good diet. Ensure that there's structure in the home. Love your children unconditionally.
So go ahead, give your children the tools. It may take effort, but the potential lies in every child to become a whole person, a well-rounded individual, capable of adapting to any situation in life.
And that's how we draw the curtains down on today's show. Have queries or comments? Email us, jamaicamagazine@jis.gov.jm, or better yet, send us a tweet at JIS News. You're also invited to check out our website, jis.gov.jm, for the latest on government policies and programs that benefit you. On behalf of the entire production team here at the JIS, I'm Adrian Atkinson, reminding you to protect the future leaders of this great country.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.